Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and this program is See It Now with Dale Matthews and Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
See it now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for my ignorance, but that must be like a show from the 50s or
It
something, or what?
is indeed. As a matter of fact, this is Edward R. Murrow
Oh,
from
okay.
CBS News, and he was the one that decided, and CBS decided to bravely take on Joe McCarthy face to face, buddy, and say,
Hmm.
a lot of this stuff that you're talking about, Senator McCarthy, just doesn't make any sense and is
Well,
bad for the country.
and yes, but we knew actually after a long time that he was right about a lot of them.
He was right about some of them, and
Yes.
what it did was, but he was wrong mostly in the
Well, and
tactics of I have a list here of
yes, well,
150, 161,
yes, but then the
122.
problem is after the fact, after they did this big smear campaign on him,
Yeah,
now if you call somebody a communist, you're a whack job, you know. But
for more than half a century, that's a long time. That's a
yeah, it's
result that's lasted for a
yes, a heck of
long
a legacy
time.
there. Yes.
That's right. Well, the reason I brought this up, the reason that he brought himself up here smoking a cigarette here, is it in a recent history, CBS, the same CBS, actually backed down off of stories off of the tobacco industry and what it knew and what it didn't know about loading up cigarettes with other chemicals that they didn't want to discuss. And you may remember the famous picture of, I think it was 8 or 9 tobacco moguls who were testifying to Congress and saying, no, I don't think that there's any causal relationship between smoking and cancer or any other kind of thing. Why? It's just great for you. Let's all, yeah, right,
Oh,
right.
good
Let's.
sir.
Well, they're not around to ask questions anymore because they've all died of cancer. No,
Probably.
no, no, no. We don't know that,
They
but
may well have.
yeah, yeah. One of the things that it kind of brings to mind is that there are sometimes good results from bad events. And one of the bad events that's been happening in Josephine County, obviously, is although Moody's says that we're not hanging on by our fingertips, it is true that there seems to be true that we are under some kind of financial stress in this county, no matter what Simon Hare told Moody's. And we do have a levy that's coming up, and there are some positive effects of this that will be long lasting. And one of them is that when our county government and the people who are very intent on spending a lot of money, when you deprive them of a lot of money, it makes it a lot harder for them to be able to do what it is they'd like to do. Do you want to take the ball and run with that one there, Mike?
Well, uh, that's true, and they also get kind of upset about it, and they don't play well in the sandbox, and it's been pretty evident throughout the debate, that's happened on the levy since they launched it.
Well, the other thing that they've started doing, this is a new tactic, and tactics come and go. And part of their new tactic as a group is to start identifying, well, I'm number one, woo, I'm number one, but there are plenty of others that they have now identified us all as an angry minority, even though the people who are voting down the levy year after year after year after year are the majority. But they've started identifying people as constantly lying, as waiting, as thinking all week of how to come up with lies, and they're saying this at live weekly business sessions that the people who question government are just basically all liars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm starting to just. I mean, it's not new. It's funny because my wife, she'd ask me, "Can you believe that?" And I used to say, oh, "What? I cannot believe that." And lately, I've just been going, "Of course, I could believe whatever story you got for me. I could believe it because I've been down the road a piece and I've seen this movie repeat itself a number of times." So, there isn't anything new under the sun. People who you're locked in mortal combat with are going to slur you. You know.
I I don't want us to get used to the idea that, there are communities in America where a sitting commissioner doesn't say at an open public meeting that's live, you, Mr. Matthews, are a lying maggot.
Well, yes, but unfortunately, we have set a tone, an atmosphere, a climate, as it were. It's the climate for this sort of behavior by the type of people that are in office, and the only way to cure that is to put other people in office that don't look at the vocal minority who basically speaks for the non-vocal majority as being a bunch of toothless hicks who don't know what's good for them. And so I'm gonna here's what we're doing. We're gonna tax and spend because that's good. I just
Do you remember why your wife asked me this one time, why did he call you, Dale Matthews, why did Keith Heck call you a lying maggot? Do you remember the reason for it? Not to make this too personal, but there was a
no, I
reason.
don't. I don't.
Okay, so the reason
Because you lied about him, you lying maggot, you.
Yeah. Well, that's his contention. What had happened was that they were in a meeting in the little back room, and as tradition on Wednesdays and Thursdays, this is such a small thing. It's tradition that they say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of government meetings. And Keith Heck, it was obvious to you visually. Now, this is a value judgment, but it was obvious that he rather reluctantly got to his feet at the last time that they said it.
Right, and I remember the video that you put out that has Simon questioning him, going, "You feel kind of uncomfortable about that, don't you?"
And his answer basically was, "Well, I don't see really any reason to do this because, it's kind of repetitive."
Mm-hmm.
Pledge of Allegiances.
Well, okay, and I think if you're a guy like him, or that's not the right way of putting it. If you're a politician, you have to understand the trappings that you're doing business inside of, and I think certain traditions like that, it's a valuable thing. I personally don't need to pledge allegiance to the flag every day to be a patriotic American, but the problem isn't as much in that he had an objection to it, but then he calls you a lying maggot because you point out. Because you pointed it out, you put out this video about it or something.
Yeah, so I put out a video of him saying this. As I recall, the video doesn't have any commentary. It's just him saying this in the video. That's what I remember. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think I said anything on the video at all. And for posting the video of him, and this had an effect on Simon here, they never did the Pledge of Allegiance at the Thursday meeting in the little back room, whether you think that's smart or not. They never did it again, based on Keith Heck. Honestly, I think he was just having a little bit of trouble getting to his feet. People get that way. Some people do. He's a rather large guy, and maybe that had something to do with it. It might be knees or something. Okay.
Well, yeah, I remember when he was not the chair, he would always be getting up from his chair to be ready for the Pledge of Allegiance far before Cheryl got done announcing that it was going to be happening.
Right.
And that no doubt has something to do with him having trouble getting up.
No, I do the same thing, but I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I think it's respectful, and I wear a tie to every meeting that they have, not because I respect these three commissioners, because every once in a while we're going to end up, the luck of the draw, we're going to end up with 3 lemons. It just happens, okay? I wear a tie because I respect the process and I respect the office itself, even if I don't respect the current office holders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I always wear a tie. And anybody, Mike, that just shows up in a T-shirt, what is it with them?
Yes,
So
I know. You know what? Yes, my attire quite often like sweats and a radish. The only guy who's dressed lesser than I am would be uh,
Larry
uh,
Ford.
Larry Ford. Yes.
Larry Ford. We're lucky Larry wears pants to the meeting. Yes.
Yes, it's funny. It really doesn't matter what season it is. He is there in shorts and a t-shirt, and
That's
the
right.
t-shirt looks like it's his favorite t-shirt. He's had it for 20 years.
It keeps going to the garbage and pulling it back out. Don't throw
Right?
this
Yeah.
away.
Stop
Get
throwing
rid
that
of that
away.
thing, or at least launder it once in a while. Yeah, okay. We're only joking. Larry knows that.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with Larry. Of course, this is different. But never mind us. Who's
Yes.
the loon in the
Yes.
family? So he called me a lying maggot. We put the video up, and that makes me a liar. This is all part of Keith Heck's contention. It seems to be that videotape cannot record him correctly.
Yes. Well, you know what? It's an embarrassing thing. He did not want to be
Quoted at all.
Yes, but I mean, of course, to him, the video was about him being unpatriotic, and so he's having to address that. That makes him angry that impression is being made out there, and he wants to strike out and attack the person who is causing that impression to be made. And
it was not a random comment by him. It led directly to a change in, well, calling it a change in policy. It led directly to a change in behavior for the county commissioners. They just stopped doing that at the Thursday meetings. Okay, so it was a tiny little trivial thing, and perhaps when people hold themselves up as being a certain kind of person in the community, I'm red, white, and blue, when they do that kind of thing, you go, now wait a minute, really? Here in Josephine County, you're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance is repetitive?
Yeah, no, but politically, it's not very smart.
No, not very smart. So, do you really have to come here and videotape things? Yes. Thanks for asking. Next. So he went on KJO, and this is the worst part. See, this is the part they cannot save themselves for the life of them. They can't say. He went on KJO, and so Carl Wilson asked him, so what's this up? What's this? Oh, well, that's you put up these lying videos. I'm going to have to paraphrase because it's been a little while. And they put them on, they post them on Facebook. We weren't on Facebook at the time.
Right.
And they post them anonymously.
Yes, right.
Anonymously?
Yes.
Now, okay, this is my downfall.
No, I mean, the whole idea is to make you look like you're the bad guy.
I've posted something anonymously?
And what he could have just said was, I've been having trouble getting up, and I was a little bit irritated at having to get up because I'm having problems with that, and it isn't a problem with the play. I mean, he could have just moved right on from it, but.
Well, and I said nothing about the fact that as soon as he came out of the Marine Corps, came back to the United States, he went straight into the Socialist Party. I'm not making that up. He announced that. I didn't say anything about that.
And go figure that he would announce that at a debate
when he was running for office.
Yes, it was not a very
politically astute thing to say.
Well, no, it wasn't a very heavily attended debate. There was maybe 50 people there at best.
However, there was a camera there.
Yes, there was a camera.
Guess who brought that camera?
The Daily Courier.
No, the Courier's not good. They never talked about that at all.
Yes.
You would never know.
Yeah, and I mean, how do you get out of the Army or the Marines? That is, the Marines even, and then go join the Socialist Party.
In the early '60s. The early '60s.
Yes, and when the implication was serious, it was a whole different ball game then than it is now. Now, you call yourself a socialist, and you're in line with half of the half of the electorate out there, sadly.
You mean here in Oregon?
No, I'm talking about across the nation. Listen, somebody like Elizabeth Warren could never have even been thought of seriously as a candidate for almost anything probably 20 years ago, because she is freaking, she's a Marxist, but there's a growing appetite for that sort of thing.
Yeah, but what a lot of people do, this is why I have this over my shoulder, by the way, this whole thing about communism and et cetera. But what they don't realize about Elizabeth Warren, if it's true that she's a Marxist, she's a follower of Groucho Marx, not Karl Marx.
Oh, not true. Not true. If you look into the stuff that she says, it is straight out of. Well, yeah, she's goofy, but it's straight out of
Yeah.
From each according to their ability, to each according to their need, which is the sort of the basis there.
Well, this is what he said, that it was taken out of context. No, it wasn't. I played the entire clip. That it was posted anonymously. Now, okay, Mr. Matthews, what's your worst possible trait? If you're going to run for county commissioner, what's the worst thing about you? Oh, that I insist on taking credit for things that I do. I never post anything without my name on it, partly because I think you need to know who it is, and even if it's some website where you can use a pseudonym, I never do, because if you're going to stand up and say something, you better identify yourself. That's my opinion.
Of course.
Well, not everybody feels that way.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So, some people want to make the run up and stab somebody and run away with a mask on.
Well, this kind of thing is what Sidewinder did. Okay, on a site that used to allow political contents. They don't allow it anymore. It got so contentious, really. Well, Jack Swift is Sidewinder, or was, and Mark Seligman was, whatever you think about Jack and Mark. Mark was somebody else. I can't remember. Anyway, so Mark Seligman, and it was against their internal rules to identify each other by their real names. Oh, really? Yeah, well, that way people could say whatever they wanted. Oh, yeah? Yeah, anonymously.
Oh, listen, if there's one topic where people don't need extra incentive to be nasty, it's politics.
Yes. Well, so Mark Seligman says to Sidewinder, okay, says, well, weren't you involved in helping write or vet or approve as a lawyer the wording of the last levy? And Jack Swift, as side, oh no, whoever that is and his wife certainly are not involved, and his wife certainly are not involved anyway. Well, Pat Fahey, who was pretty much running the show, if anyone could be said to, says directly to us, well, yeah, Jack Swift was involved. And then there's Jack Swift, and we got him on tape saying things, he tried to deny. So we made a video out of that saying, well, and I voiced the video because it's just text and that'd be sort of boring. Hey, what happened to the sound? This is what happened to the sound. So that number of people wrote, well, that Dale Matthews is identifying people. I'm calling them out by name. Now, you've got some things. You've been watching social media. Nobody else watches social. Well, people go on social media, but no other media outlet is talking at all about this underground stream of consciousness, social media that's happening. And you've noticed that people are actually being tossed out of Josephine County politics because they just can't. It's not because they have different ideas. Hey, good, but because they just can't stop calling each other names. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know what? I think it's there's really only been one or two max on there, but the problem is that this levy topic is brought the worst out of some people. And the funny thing, I mean, I don't know these people except for on social media, so I don't have any experience with them before they got there. But it seems as though the people who are against the levy are just, stating their points and whatever, but some of the pro-levy people are coming in and getting very nasty and being overly contentious, I think. And it seems to be something that across the board, there are some. I'm sure there's a lot of pro-levy people that aren't like that, but we're only seeing the ones that are just really, rabidly pro-levy, and you can't tell them anything. They've got some counter to you that's usually personal and nasty in some way.
Well, okay, Dave Strahan is a good example. Now, background on Dave Strahan. When I'd called in that infamous time that nobody knows about and was talking with Carl Wilson very briefly on the call-in show, last time I ever get a chance to call into KJO, I said something about the commissioners breaking the law and having a quorum at the Rotary Club and discussing in a quorum county business. Was it county business? Yeah, it was. It was the county's business report. No, what the heck was that called? The annual thing they do talking about the county and where we're going. And they were doing
state of the county.
State of the county. Right. And Carl Wilson's right there. And even as a journalist, if that's what he pretends to be, he could have said, hey, they're my guests, or I'm now making them my guests, and not tossing us out. There are all kinds of things that could have been done. So I called in and I said, it's a place that's it's kind of a black Rotary Club, not black African American, but it's kind of a dark Rotary Club. I mean, things happen there, and we don't even have any. Oh, you're cut off. I can't believe it. I'll never allow you in. And I'm banned for life after like 30 seconds. And I wasn't screaming, and I wasn't calling people names and stuff. I just pointing out my political point of view that for such a wonderful organization, Rotary Club, they have a secret membership list. Secret. They have secret meetings. The state of the county reports done behind closed, locked doors. What's up with that? With the quorum of county commissioners, which is against the law, it's easily against the law. Wally Hicks has confirmed that that's against the law. And the other two commissioners, besides Cheryl Walker, who was the one who instigated this, they later said, we never should have done that because we actually put it out that you were invited to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
well, I personally don't have any problem with somebody having a private organization with a secret membership list, but that's not the point that we're talking about here. The point is that you're having politicians who are supposed to be transparent are going there talking about county business in a closed situation with these private parties.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Only the privileged elite will be briefed on the future of the county. Right. So after that happened, a lady called in and talked with Carl Wilson live on the radio call-in show. She said, I really don't think you treated Dale Matthews very nice. Or do you think I care? You think I care? Ha, ha, ha. And Simon Hare is right there laughing right along with him.
Right.
That's Carl Wilson. And then Dave Strahan called in. Dave Strahan, unless I've forgotten, Dave Strahan, I think, used to be a wheel, the head guy in the school district. And he calls in, you have made my day. Why, I am so happy. Why, this is just the most wonderful thing ever. Wow, I just, boy, you ought to do it every day of the week or whatever it was that he said. That's Dave Strahan. Okay, that's just the kind of guy that he is. So Dave Strahan's problem on Josephine County politics, just one of them, because you get like 3 strikes and you're out. I don't know. The moderator may decide 2 strikes and you're out, or 10 strikes and you're out. But in this case,
he gave Dave plenty of rope.
So Dave's kind of an angry guy and just doesn't work and play well with others. I think a couple of people made that comment. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he said, just as a small kind of snide remark, which has nothing to do with political ideas, is he said, oh, the Chip and Dale show, why, they're pretending to be journalists or something like that.
Yeah. He did that. He did that on our Facebook page, and we haven't banned him there. I told him, though, after that, I said, listen, feel free to contribute here, but you're not going to troll on the page. And
what does that mean? To tell everybody what it means? It has nothing to do with that bridge behind you.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that. Is that some people, they call them trolls, come into websites or Facebook pages and just start lashing out at everybody and making snide comments, and they're just generally anti-social type people, and that's kind of the flavor that I get from Dave. It's sad because I don't want to dislike anybody, and listen, I have to check my own behavior sometimes.
Me too.
Because you get heated and you want to make sure and listen. There's been things that I've said that were wrong or stupid or whatever, but you know what? I'll check myself, get back in line. Dave will not do that. Dave cannot control himself, and he just and that led to the end of him at Josephine County Politics and probably a number of other pages as well.
Now, okay, so let's take each other on here. Okay, Mike's not a fan of doing this. I am. I love this. Let's take each other on. The thing is that we come on this show and we make fun of everybody, including each other. And we generally don't do that. Generally, I think I don't feel malice in my heart toward everybody, but occasionally I'll say something like, "And Keith X says," and Keith X says that everybody is banned for life. Well, you know that I am not really quoting him as saying that, but when we say something serious, we've got the videotape, the documents, the eyewitnesses to back it up.
Right.
So it's not like we're, and as the commissioners tried to do recently, all three of them have tried to do this. You citizens are liars, you're questioning government, you're liars, 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 and you're also liars.
Right.
Well, the thing is that all I did was, yes, right. So all I did was I got up and said, you really can't do that, and here's a reason for each of you. Yeah, we played that video for you before, you know about it, and they really can't, and the only person that could come up with a word in defense was Cheryl Walker, who always has to say something. See, there I did again. She always has to say something. Why, Dale Matthews, do you have the statistics to back it up? Yeah, and I'll give you my phone number, and we'll go through the statistics together, and we'll have charts and graphs. Yeah, no. Okay, so, but she just had to say something, and that is, yes, I could say many things. Okay, but I won't. Oh, but I'll just say there's bad for the community, blah, 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 blah.
Yes. It's interesting that the last couple of times you've got up, she ends up attacking you on a topic that has nothing to do with what you talked about.
Right.
Like in this particular time, or the last time, I should say, she used Sandy Casanelli getting up talking about the levy as a way of coming out and lashing out at all of the people that she considers to be her naysayers in the audience. And you guys are all, you basically hate children.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
That she did go there.
It was pretty hysterical.
I have a special place in Hades for people who decide, politicians especially, who decide to make points by pulling out a violin and somehow working children into the discussion, and how none of this is good for children, and getting sort of a little bit weepy about it. You remember the time when she says
that's called deflection, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and some people are criticizing my family, and we're thinking, criticizing my family?
Yeah.
What the heck is she talking about? I leaned back to you. I said, her family, and Mike's going, and then she starts.
It's a convenient entree into.
Oh, my son is in the military. Oh, yes, and so I'm red, white, and blue, you see, and I'm not really against the Second Amendment. Why, look at this flag draped all around me. And then she wraps the flag around herself and jumps overboard into the deep water and, swims over the flag trailing after her. Really, come on.
Well, that's.
I have many things to say.
That's what happened, and you know what? I think that the video that you put out following that was pretty fair to her. I mean, it could have made her look a lot worse because she went on for probably 5 minutes with this, the poor homeless children living in the gutter, and you're stepping on them as you cross the street and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was pretty heavy duty stuff, and in the video there was just a couple of little clips of stuff and didn't really get that heavy into that because it was sort of beside the point.
Well, it was also,
but she was hysterical.
Yeah, a bit. I think that there's 6 different kinds of people that I've been able to identify that are involved in this. Let me just say one before before the 6 people. As I'd mentioned, in my personal opinion, what's good about the lack of money is that the water has drained from the pool, and we can see the things that are down at the bottom there that it's been rather murky, and we can tell what the commissioners are doing. I mean, maybe all along they were giving $50,000 for a Band-Aid on a rock or some other. Maybe they were doing that, always had been doing it. Now we see it very clearly, and we're wondering, why are you spending this kind of money on something that doesn't make any sense to begin with? They're under a lot of scrutiny for this, but what's happening with all the pressure from the levy is that the different kinds of people are coming out. And one of the kinds that comes out is the people that, for reasons that just leave me breathless, they haven't made up their mind. They truly haven't. There have to be some of them, one way or another, about what they feel about law enforcement and collecting taxes. Really?
Yeah. Would we call those undecided voters, or do they have their mind made up about the levy and they just don't know about that? What do you mean by?
Well, I think there must be because we keep hearing that there are. Maybe it's always lies. I'm not sure about that. I think there are actual people who are confused about law enforcement in general, about levies in general, and they truly just have not yet made up their minds about what they think about this. Really. Yeah. I know it's hard for us to see because you're watching a site that brings you the political news. Where else are you going to get it? Come on now. And if you hate this, then start your own, okay? But
we're basically steeped in it 24/7.
We are.
Yes.
It's the thing that we keep track of. And so if you want to know what's happening, good, bad, or indifferent, this is where to find out. And if you want to see it in their own words, this is where you find out. This is the part that Courier hates the most because they can't filter any of it. It's directly from the mouths of the commissioners themselves. And it's very difficult for somebody like Jim Moore to change the record like they do with the minutes of the meetings. I don't like the fact that I said that. Okay, we'll take that off. Hey, that's our official history. They can't erase history. It happened, and now they're saying it in front of you. This is why I'm a lying maggot, because I simply played the video of him saying that totally in context. Now, if you wonder about the context question, one of my favorite examples is from Gil Gilbertson. He said, well, that Dale Matthews put up a video about whatever it was. And according to sources that we have, one of his assistants said, well, but he also put up the entire video. Well, it was out of context, but he put up the entire video. Oh, well, that didn't help.
Yes. That never helps to add context to things by seeing the entire thing.
It never helps to show the context if you've already made up your mind that it's out of context.
Okay. So we have 6 types of people.
Okay, that's number 1.
The first one is undecided.
Undecided people, totally undecided people. Then you've got the people who are saying, I haven't made up my mind, but you know that they have because of everything that they're saying and what they say in other venues. It's like this thing with the previous airport manager and the current airport manager. Previous airport manager would say one thing to the commissioners, and then that evening he would tell the airport board, well, I defended you. And people look at me and I say, no, he didn't. Well, you're a liar. And but I know that he didn't because we've got the tape that he was saying exactly the opposite. And these are people who feel that they can go to a meeting of the Republican Central Committee or they can go to some other kind of meeting, Rotary Club meeting, and then they'll say, well, I have totally made up my mind. I'm completely in favor. Yay, you've completely made up your mind. And then they'll go to a social media. Well, I haven't made up my mind yet. Someone falls into that category. Who would that be, Mike?
So I'm gonna call these people liars.
He didn't mention the name. I noticed you did not answer the question, witness. Yeah, yeah. It's people who just, well, Jack Swift. I have no relationship. Jack, you can't get out of that. Well, who's Jack?
Yeah,
Come
you know
on.
what? I have a whole lot less sympathy for Republicans who do this than Democrats. Democrats, I just expect that that's what their MO is. But
Oh,
Republicans,
headlines.
I,
Mike Jones has sympathy for Democrats.
uh, no, I understand. Okay, yes, but I'm not going to call them on it because that's like calling a cat for being a cat, you know. So anyway, yes, I especially despise Republicans when they pretend to be one thing and then turn out to be something entirely different.
And to explain, Mike doesn't need any explaining. Thank you very much. But also to explain, I believe what Mike is saying, and I feel the same way. If you purport to hate tax and spend liberals, then why, as honorable members of the Republican Party, are you? There are such things as tax and spend Republicans, really?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's the battle that's going on inside the Republican Party right now. It's why they can't. That's why they continue to let the Democrats pick their candidates for them, and that's why they can't seem to have unity as a party. Yeah, this is the issue.
This is why I'm an independent, because for all of my life I've had, you already know this, you watch this show, most of my heart is with people who say, well, I kind of try to understand what's happening with the homeless. I try to understand that. I don't always agree with the things that they do, but I try to understand that. So that sort of makes me a little bit more of a liberal Democrat. On the other hand, I don't like the idea of spending money and overspending money that we don't have. It makes me a conservative Republican. I'm an independent. Neither one of those guys are,
Yeah.
I didn't leave them. They left me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. Exactly.
So
So,
then the third kind
okay.
that I'm seeing are those people who will try to seek out facts, real facts, not just feelings,
Hmm.
not just feelings, but real facts, and say, okay, here's all we know up to this point. You want real money from us? We're going to need real facts. And instead of spending 25,000 or 100,000, depending on who you talk to within SOS and cuffs, instead of spending that on doing a poll to tell you what people feel, really, you need a poll? We'll tell you how I feel. You're going to see again when we take this next vote, because you have to vote now, you guys, whether you're for it or against it. Instead, why didn't you spend the money? Why don't you spend the money on putting a volunteer in, and you'll pay for that person, into the police department to do real statistics so we all know for sure that this is true? You could have spent the money on that, but you didn't, did you?
Yeah, well, right, and I think part of the reason why is because the numbers that are coming out of these departments are the real thing.
Right. That
You
that
know,
could be the case. Yes. That in fact that's sometimes what the police will say, and then sometimes they'll say, well, it's not, and then they'll say, well, it is. Well,
yeah,
it's
but
not.
you know what? Listen, if they're giving statistics to the OSP that are false, at some
That's
point,
a serious thing.
yes, at some point they're going to have to answer for that. That's a crime, if you ask me. You
Yeah.
know,
Now
if you can
that's the.
falsify numbers to meet a political objective, you ought to go to jail.
I agree with you. And those are types number 3 and 4, in my opinion. They're polar opposites of each other. People who want the statistics, and people who want only the stories. The statistics, well, statistics lie. Uh-huh.
Mm,
And the story of my cousin's neighbor's doctor's dog is this. Okay,
yeah,
and that's all that they want. And we've seen a number of them. Well, we're not going to talk numbers with you. Well, of course you're
right,
not. But we're going to tell you every story that we know of.
right.
And
Yeah,
then
my
they're,
uncle,
yeah.
my uncle's car was stolen, therefore crime is up.
And he lives in Burbank.
Yes, or whatever. You know,
Right.
I mean, even if he lives in Cave Junction, listen, everybody who's had something stolen from him swears to God that crime is on the rise.
Right,
And
or
for
even if
them,
they
it
know
has
somebody
been.
that did, yes, or they know somebody that it did, or they've
Right.
heard about some, or they just look at the news on KJO. That's all that you need to do. It's all crime all the time. There's only two kinds of stories that they do. Crime, well, no, they do five kinds of stories. Crime, 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 and people have been appointed to some stupid committee.
Well, wait a minute. They do report the weather too.
Oh, okay. Seven kinds of stories.
Okay, so now we're up three. What are you calling these three people
Oh,
there?
now I'm not. One's called a duckbill platypus. I'm not
No, no,
giving
no,
them
no, no,
names.
no. Yes, but I
Okay.
am. So,
Oh well, you okay?
I've got the
There's
undecided and the
four.
liars, and then these
Okay.
people are sort of,
There's the ones that want the statistics and
right.
insist on
Yes.
statistics. If you want real money, you need to give us real statistics. And then the
Okay.
fourth
So,
kind is the
so
people who
these
don't
people
want
are
any
analytical.
statistics. They are. And then the fourth kind of the people don't want any statistics at all. Don't bother me with statistics. I have personal stories based on a neighbor that had a person that had a dream that, that's all that they want. They don't have any statistics.
These people are the ostriches.
Okay. All right. If you insist. Okay. Okay. And
Okay.
the kind that can't that say I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, they're the zebras because they keep changing their
Yeah.
stripes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But there's a number five, isn't there?
Right. There's a
Yes.
number five, and we can call us the giraffes because we stick our neck out. Sorry.
Yeah. Well.
We stick our neck out. It's like Mike and I and some of you were saying, well, now wait a minute. Okay, we're willing to listen to. I took on the other side. I remember I beat these guys to a bloody pulp when we were debating about the levy, and I argued in favor of the levy. Okay, and Mike and Bill are still licking their wounds. I mean, when Bill Hunker comes on our show, you can see that he's still frozen in fear.
Yes. Well, you know what? I mean, this is an interesting thing because it does take a certain amount of courage to do the kind of stuff and to say the kind of thing. It's either courage or stupidity, one of the two.
I'll go with stupidity.
Yes. But it does take some courage to do these kind of things because you are going to get negative feedback. You are. And you know what? People don't want negative feedback. They want to be liked by people. So, and this is the whole thing that certain, political elements are manipulating people to get certain outcomes, to get people to come to the polls and vote in a certain way, and nothing is, I mean, it couldn't be more evident than it is in this election about this levy right now. It's on parade.
They're coming out of the woodwork, all these different kinds of people, and then you've got the folks who they well, I'm going to talk about them last, but I think it does take a certain amount of courage to call a spade, and it could end up where people are saying, well, you don't care about law enforcement. We had the famous quote from Parkway Christian Center from Dennis Weber, who said the people who were against the levy were in favor of chaos.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is probably has to be one of the stupidest things that this guy ever said, because he probably said that one time, and just in the time that I've known Dale, he's probably reiterated this about Dennis Weber 100 times, at least 100 times. This was not a good return on your investment, sir.
But do you think he's changed his mind? And now that we
I
think
don't
that
know.
we're reasonable folks who just have a different point of view? Carl Wilson said that I will not share my community with people who take our point of view about the levy. He's not going to share it. He's the owner of a radio station that has to work under certain federal rules about fairness. He's not going to share his community with us.
Well, the interesting thing here is I think that a lot of people have drunk the Kool-Aid on the idea that the county is very unsafe and that crime is out of control. And that, by the way, if you don't care about that and you're not wallowing in your feelings about that and how it affects other people, you're a bad person. And this is what's happening here. This is what they're trying to use to pass the levy. And so I get it that some people have drank the Kool-Aid. Maybe even some of the people that are in the media are drinking the Kool-Aid. But the people that I hold entirely responsible for are the ones that know the truth and yet are continuing to lie about this stuff for their own selfish purposes.
I was one of those people who was pretty well convinced that crime was increasing in our county, but I said from the beginning, when the people out in the county have had enough of that, then they're going to vote for it. They're going to weigh, and they're going to say, yes, crime is increasing. That was my point of view. I've since changed it. But I do a cost-benefit analysis. It's probably not the words that they use, and I've decided that I will put up with a little extra crime or a lot of extra crime or out-of-control crime, but I will not raise my own taxes. The problem is that now that we have statistics that have come in, the statistics prove that I was wrong, and that it seems pretty clear, based on the stats, that we don't have crime running out of control in our community. Well, now, okay, I have to modify my behavior. I have to modify what I'm saying. I stuck my neck out. I was a bit wrong about that. I'm pulling it back in a little bit, and I'm saying, okay, from the statistics. Now, we got plenty of people who will say, well, the statistics are lying. Tell us what you think about that, Mike.
Well, I think that they're it's funny how they would quote an FBI source if it supported their position. But since it doesn't support their position now, it's all wrong, and really all of the crime that's going on out in the county right now is unreported. And that's their angle, is that I don't care what you say. What we're saying about this is right. Crime's out of control, and everybody's going crazy, and that's what it is. I don't believe that. And what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do?
Well, there's a sixth kind of person. Give you an example of the kind of thing the sixth kind of person is doing. I put up a video about the sheriff, and he was explaining that sometimes you have to go with your, quote, gut feeling about whether things are happening in the community. And so I put up a little clip from that along with this larger statement, and the name of the clip was, I have no proof, Your Honor, but I do have a gut feeling that the defendant is guilty.
Yes.
It doesn't have quotes around it. It's not what he actually said. Any reasonable human being, in my opinion, reasonable human being will say, well, that's a little bit funny. So what was the reaction that we got about that on social media, Mike?
Yes. And I forget who that was. Maybe it was Daniel Shirley.
Or was it Kristen?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But
Okay.
But one of these people who is
in the bag for the levy?
Yes, in the bag. There you go. Essentially responded to it like, I watched that video 2 or 3 times, and he does not say that anywhere in the video.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Imagine that.
How do you have a conversation 2 or 3 times? Well, no,
Yes.
He didn't say that.
No, and to understand it fully, of course, the whole point of the video is that the sheriff is saying you've got to trust your perceptions. You go with your feelings on it. And if that's all you really need to know about, going with that description that I just gave you, if you read that title, you should see it a little differently. But unfortunately,
now, do you think that this person, whether it was Dan Shirley or Kristen Mike?
Oh, do I think they're being disingenuous about that?
I'm asking you that question. Yes.
Yes. You know what? I don't think that these people are unintelligent, so I have to suspect that a little bit. Although, you know what? I've been surprised before.
But was there any footage in this? And I didn't put it in quotes, right? It's just a slightly funny and it's just slightly funny, like me, only slightly, and just in my mind. Um, was there any footage of him actually saying "Your Honor"? Was he in a courtroom? I mean, really? Come on.
Yes.
Okay,
No.
this is something about the sixth group. No sense of humor. No, absolutely zero sense of irony. They could not come on this show or any show and kind of joke around about things. They take themselves so seriously. Why? It's just like it's like Ebola. No, it's just like ISIS. Oh, come on. I mean, you just have to laugh at yourself for saying something like that, don't you?
Yeah, that was. Yep. No, and it doesn't take very long to identify who those people are.
No, they identified themselves
quick.
in one place at the Republican Central Committee. It's packed with these people who are there to make a decision. And you've got 4 people in the room who are trying to shout down the presenter. They're trying to stop the presenter. Well, I'm going to stop you right there. You saw J.J. Schofield. You saw him do that to me at a meeting. Well, I'm going to stop you right there. First of all, it's not up to him to stop me. And second, what's this? I'm going to stop you right there. Wait a minute. Let the person say what they say. The commissioners do this too. Well, we're going to stop you because you're not allowed. Hey, wait a minute. We don't stop you when you lie. If you think I'm lying, fine. Say how. Well, I could say a lot, but I won't. I don't even know where to start, says Simon here. Start with the truth. Say something that's a lie. And this happened on social media too, where somebody said, well, Dale Matthews is telling a lie. And someone else says, okay, well, what is that lie? Well, he's just telling lies, and I don't like it when he tells lies. Okay, what was the lie? I don't like when he lies. Okay, what was the lie?
Yes.
What was it?
Yeah, it's a problem, and so I would urge the Republican Party to take a good hard look at these people and have some talks with people like that within their organization to decide whether or not have a little heart to heart with them and say, hey, you probably need to do a little soul searching to figure out whether maybe this isn't the right place for you.
The other thing too is that was a wonderful place to stop, but I just got to say this. The other thing is we've got Judy Aarons, who had those magnetic signs on the side of her vehicle that says no new taxes. Right. Somebody stole every one of those signs off of her vehicle. Who does this? We've got Simon here in his election, in his first time, his election headquarters, and his own campaign people, with his knowledge, were stealing signs and storing them in his headquarters. Who condones that kind of thing?
Hey, how do you know it just isn't becoming a popular movement?
But it seems to be then occupied by whenever one of our people, we had a person a couple of years ago when a petition was going around that X'd out, put a big X on the page. That person got into a lot of trouble with everybody saying, don't do that. That's the tactics of the other side. And what I found about this sixth group of people, it doesn't matter because this levy thing's going to come and go. I mean, pretty soon it's going to be all over, okay?
Yeah,
but
it'll be the next levy.
Yeah, it may be. But other things, we keep seeing some of the same people who use the same tactics. They're angry people. They don't want to hear from the opposition. You're banned forever from this radio station. I don't want you to speak. I'm not going to stay in this room while you're talking. It's not putting up an argument against the other side. I welcome that. Let's do it. I'll take your argument. You can take mine. We'll switch sides. No. These are people who refuse to hear. They're the kind of Americans that can't stand you or anybody else hearing what the other side has to say. And it doesn't matter whether it's a levy or something else. They somehow feel America means to them what it apparently means to Rika Brown. Cut people off. Don't allow them to speak. It will send a chilling message to everybody else.
Yeah.